Hello everyone, the race is on. Yes, NCLEX is changing and everyone is panicking. What is NCLEX? Before we get to that, let me just introduce myself once more. If you don't know me, if this is your first time clicking on this video and seeing my face, my name is Priscilla Kuma. I'm a registered nurse working in New York State. Originally come from Ghana. Yes, I'm an African. I live and work in New York State as a registered nurse, and I bring you nursing, migration content, lifestyle, and many more. So kindly subscribe before we forget, and share this video with others as well. So NCLEX is changing and everybody is panicking. What is NCLEX? NCLEX is the NCLEX. It's basically the USA Nursing Licensure you take before you be qualified or certified to be able to work in the USA as a registered nurse. We have NCLEX RN for registered nurses, and we have NCLEX PN for licensed practical nurse, LPN. Yes, so either ways you're going to take NCLEX, and the format is changing, and the rat race is on. Everybody's trying to beat the timeline, because the timeline out there is that starting April 1st, 2023, about 9 months from now, NCLEX will be changing. There'll be more case study introduced, and everybody is trying to beat that timeline, because as it is, NCLEX is hard enough. I'm not saying this to scare you. Nobody has ever said NCLEX is easy, so I'm not going to be the first to tell you it's hard. It's hard enough. So the thoughts of coming to now answer case studies is very scary for first-time test takers and for those who have taken it and unfortunately did not make it. Now you're panicking about having to add a lot of extra workload. But let's talk about NGN, Next Generation NCLEX. What at all is NGN? National State Council Board of Nursing plans to release this new format of NCLEX called NGN, Next Generation NCLEX, and the release date is April 1st, 2023. If you had taken NCLEX in the past, let's say 2 to 3 years ago, you would see at the end of answering your questions, there are some questions that are just trial or test questions just for research purpose. Okay, this has been going on since 2017, so that they'll be able to gather question styles and know how to input those ones in the new upcoming question style. Yes, so I happen to take one and I answer some of these questions, and those questions, the answer doesn't count towards your main NCLEX score. So after you do everything before the computer shuts down. Yes, so due to the responses, thank you everyone who contributed to this research, who answered such questions. Then they were able to build the structure for NGN, the new generation NCLEX. So let's get into it, and let's get into the format of what NGN is going to look like. And there's a good side to it, so don't be scared. There's a very good side to it as well. Yes, your SATA, select all that apply, would benefit you. You're not going to get all the answers wrong. So far, some of the answers are okay. You will get half the mark. You wouldn't get totally 0. So that's a good side to it. Yeah. The biggest to these changes is the case study. The case study is just a real life situation of what actually happens on the ground when you're a nurse at work, and they want to test the test taker's ability to think critically. They want to see how critical you can think and be able to act quick, how you can prioritize, how you can deliver quality care and all. So they'll give you a scenario, they'll mention the patient's lab results, vital signs, and you would have to deduce and answer subsequent questions. So there'll be 3 case studies added, and each case study will have 6 questions you would have to answer. So 6 questions making 18 questions, because there'll be 3 case studies and all of them require 6 answers. So 6 by 3 will be 18 answers or responses that they will be expecting from you. Also, there will be 5 new item types added, and one of them is called the extended response. Just like SATA or SATA, select all that apply, the extended response will also look like that, but it will expand further on the responses. Then you choose all that apply. Also, there will be extended drag and drop. Ideally, the drag and drop used to be every box will get a match. So if you drag something from here, you match it somewhere. If it's 4 components here, there'll be 4 components here. If it's 5, it's going to be 5 here. But this one that is called extended drag and drop is going to be a little bit tricky. how is that going to be? Okay, so they can have like 5 items and you can only use a certain number. You don't necessarily have to use all to drag to the other side. So you would have to decide which ones are right to drag. You don't have to always have 5 here, 5 here. So you can drag less or more or whatever. You don't have to use all necessarily. So that's why it's called extended drag and drop. So it's another polished way of saying select all that apply, but this time you are clicking, dragging and dropping. Wow, NSCBN, this is tricky. Woo! Thank God I don't have to be part of that. And hopefully not. Another section is the close or drop down. So there'll be a question, there'll be an empty box, and there'll be a drop down arrow, and you have to click and choose from those responses in the arrow. Like let's say when you are filling a form and you have your country of origin, you see when there's a drop down arrow and all the countries are listed and you have to choose your country. Yes, so there'll be a drop down arrow and you choose. Or if there's an age range and you have to click and choose your age range, 0 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 12, something like that. You click on the drop down arrow and choose the corresponding answers. There's also one called highlighting or enhanced hotspot. Enhanced hotspot allows you to select a certain phrase or word, more or less like you're highlighting that. It reminds me of English comprehension. There's a part of the sentence that relates. So you have to select a portion, a word, or a phrase that relates to the question by highlighting. Yes, so enhance hotspot or highlighting is another session. So I said we have 5 new sessions. I think I've captured 4, so we have 1 more. The last but not the least session, section 5, is called matrix or a grid. So it's basically rows and columns. So they'll list some items in this row and there'll be other options, whether you choose whether it's appropriate or inappropriate. So you click or highlight whether it's appropriate or inappropriate. So they'll put something there, a word, let's say vital signs, and then you choose whether it's appropriate to check it or if it's not, or if CPR is the appropriate one to do or not. So they'll list things like that, and you have to click whether it's appropriate or not appropriate. If one says call family member, that is on the list of prioritization. That's not what you want to do right now, so that will be inappropriate. So you choose from that. That is called grid or matrix. Wow. Come to the good part, the scoring. This scoring style might actually favor people more now than what it used to be, because as I said earlier on, you'll be getting some points, partial points. If you get an answer wrong, you're not going to get totally 0 for the whole thing. If they say select all that apply and you choose one wrong combination, the whole question, it's wrong in the past. But this time around, they would build some points for you, and if you score 1, it counts as 1 point. If you score another one that is wrong, it will be 0 points. So they'll use a 1-0 scoring scheme to give you points. They'll accumulate it together and then give you a score. So that's one good side to it. If you see it that way, yeah, that's another good side to it. So another scoring scheme is the plus or minus scoring scheme, whereby you can earn a point when you answer rightly, and they'll deduct a point when you answer wrongly. So let's say there are 5 options and you answered 4 rightly, let's say 3 rightly and 2 are wrong, they'll deduct it. So you still be left with some point. But if the wrong ones are obviously more than the right ones, then you run into negatives, so you wouldn't earn any points at all. So this is called the plus or negative scoring system. It's not too different from the first one. So how many questions at all will be on this? I know previously the questions used to range between 156 to be answered in a time span of 6 hours. Anyway, so this one ranges between 70 to 135 questions, and it has to be answered within 5 hours. And as the same modus operandi, the same mode of operation, the more you do better, the more you keep getting tougher questions, and it gets to a time the computer shuts down. Also, you can be performing abysmally bad, and the computer will still be trying to gauge your level of performance and give you a chance. And when the computer is convinced that this person is going to fail, is not doing well, the computer shuts down. Shutting down can mean 2 things. It can mean either you've passed or you've failed. So you cannot really tell until the results come out. Yes, so it's still going to operate that way. It's still going to shut down when it thinks that you are doing well or you are doing bad. At some point, it's going to shut down anyway. So I wish you all the best on this journey. It's not an easy journey to be an RN. kudos to everybody who has taken the NCLEX before and knows what it takes. Others have done it. You would also be able to do it. Don't give up. You'll do it. I believe in you. Whether you take it now before it changes or you take it later on, what I know is that questions are meant for human beings to answer. No matter how hard it is, somebody is meant to pass. So just study hard, put in the work. Know that you'll be part of those who pass, whether they've changed the rules or not. You are in school. You are nowhere near writing NCLEX yet, and you are panicking. You can't do anything about it. So when it gets your time, luckily you would have past questions, sample questions to look at. I feel bad for those who are going to be the first to take it. I remember I was the first to take one of the West Africa certificate examinations, WASSSCE. We're all panicking, but when the scapegoats had questions, samples for people behind us to also look on. So April people, you're going to be the first, but let's see how it goes for you. Don't give up. Don't be scared. Focus more on studying than the anxiety. I know it's not easy. It's easier said than done. I was also in that shoes, but others have done it, and so will you. Share this video with others. Before I leave, I just want to leave you with one trick. This is very common. It's not really a trick, but it's a fact. NCLEX doesn't do cramming. You can't do chew and pour. You can't just study definitions or one format and expect to go there and pass. It doesn't work that way. You need to understand the rationale, the reason behind what is actually happening in the human body, the pathophysiology behind it. What happens when they say somebody has diabetes? What happens when they say somebody has high blood pressure? Why are you giving this medication? Why are you doing this intervention? Why are you doing this first instead of last? You want to prioritize. You want to know the rationale behind every action. I always say American nursing is textbook nursing. Whatever you read in the books, Soundex, Kaplan, Hesse, ATI, whatever book you are using, it happens in real life. That is how nursing is practiced in real life. Whatever you see in the book is done in real life. There are no shortcuts to American nursing. You do something wrong, your license is on the line, you lose your license, and that ends your career. So study the rationale behind it, so that when you go and the question changes to the left, you'll be able to use your application. You'll be able to apply what you know, because you know the rationale. But if you study in one way, tunnel vision, and they twist the question a little bit, now they have case studies coming up, you will be found wanting. You will not be able to apply the knowledge you learned from another side. NCLEX is basically application, and you can only use application if you know the rationale behind what is actually happening. Yes, so as I said, I wish you all the best. I'll bring you more content on this channel. If any new thing comes up, I'll share that with you. Share this video with other people. My name remains Priscilla Kuma, and all the best, okay? You've got this. Yay. Thank you.